Students, good morning. So I am going to explain you the concept of first is Java fundamentals. So in colleges and universities, you already learned the concept of Java. Once again, I am going to repeat you the concept of the Java basics. Before going to start the Java, you people must know about what is a programming. So what is a programming? So programming, why should we write the programs? For what purpose we are writing the programs? We are writing the programs for the purpose of developing an application. Without application, does not have any particular software. So we need to develop the application to set of programs. The programs may be developed using different types of softwares. Now we are going to study the concept using a Java. So let me go through what is a procedural programming. Meanwhile, we have different types of programmings are there. Under that, what is the procedural programming? Procedural programming means in olden days, we have a programming language like C language. Using C language only, we develop different types of applications. That may be a commercial application or financial application or any type of application we are developing using a procedural programming. That means procedural means a function, we can say function. Using a functions, different types of functions, we develop a particular application. Okay, we are going to develop a particular application, but there are lots of drawbacks under that. For example, here I already provided a procedural program divides the code into smaller blocks called procedures. Same thing, what I am explaining is a procedure is nothing but a function. In C language, we develop different types of application using functions only. Procedures can interact with each other. An important point to note that regarding procedural programming is the idea of state. That means the state of a function. So the function, there are various functions will be there used to develop a particular application in procedure oriented programming language. The example for the procedural programming is C language. We can also say C language refers to term called POPs, P-O-P-S, procedure oriented programming approaches. So what are the drawback under procedure oriented programming approaches? In procedural language, any program goes beyond around 25,000 lines of code minimum of, because of whenever we are developing any kind of application, it is used to take lots and lots of lines of code to write a application. For example, if I want to develop a college management system in C language, I need to develop lots and lots of functions like accept student, display student, calculate results, accept faculty details, display faculty details, accept department details. Like this, I need to write lots and lots of functions under procedure oriented programming to build a application. So later it will be modified. For example, in 1970s and 1980s, the languages like C language, those languages are very much popular for developing different types of application. That may be even game applications is also going to be developed using C language. For example, nowadays we are seeing the Linux operating system, that is Unix operating system, that is developed using C language. We are all seeing that SQL environment. That SQL environment is also developed using C language. Okay, so next come to Java. Java is object oriented programming approach. Java is object oriented programming approach. For example, object oriented programming approach is more reliability, more adaptable. There are different features that will be provided by the object oriented fashion. Nowadays we are learning different types of technologies like Python, Java, .NET. These all are various types of programming techniques for developing an application. These all are object oriented fashions. Because of object oriented programming approaches provides you different features. The important features we in the classroom, the students was already known. Some of the important features of object oriented programming approach is encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism, and message passing, abstraction. These all things we will detailedly discuss later whenever we start the concept of classes and objects and object oriented programming approach. So here what is the advantage of object oriented programming is object oriented programming reduces the complexity, modifying or modularity, and the program to tackle programs in logical fashion, mainly in logical fashion. Okay, I will explain you the basic difference between object oriented programming approaches, OOPS, we can say OOPS, and previously we understood the concept of POPs, that means procedure oriented programming approaches, that is POPs. What is the difference? So let me explain to you. For example, in C language, I want to develop a college management system. In college management system, I have lots of properties related to lots of entities will be there. For example, I have a entity like faculty. Sorry, I will erase. I have different entities like faculty, okay. Similarly, student is another entity, and department is another entity. There are lots of entities will be there. So if I want to develop a project using C language, I need to declare the variables for these two: faculty, student, department, every entities. How many entities are there? I have to write all the related attributes. For example, faculty consisting of faculty ID, faculty name, okay, faculty experience, like this. For example, take student consisting of student ID, attributes like student ID, student name, student qualification, and similarly we have department ID, department name, etc. So if you take these three different types of entities related to college management system, I have these all attributes. These all attributes must be declared as a variables in C language globally. That means faculty ID must be declared under integer. Faculty name must be declared under string. Faculty experience must be declared under integer. Like this, we have various data types, and we must declare these all variables as a global variables. First and foremost thing, whenever we are developing any project, we need to write all the different variables of different entities at start as a global variables, because we have different types of functions. For example, I want to develop a function to accept the faculty details. The function 1, for example, say function 1. Function 1. Function 1 is used to accept the details of faculty ID, faculty name and faculty experience. Now I have another function, for example, because procedure oriented programming approach, we need to write everything as a functions or procedures. So I have another function, function 2. Let us say function 2 is used to display the details of faculty ID, faculty name, faculty experience. Okay, I am saying function 1, you can write as accept faculty details. Accept faculty details is your function name, but simply I will write function 1. Now for example I am explaining. Similarly function 2, this function is used to display the details of faculty. Similarly I have some more functions. For example function 3, it is used to accept the details of student. Similarly I have function 4. Function 4, it is used to display the details of faculty. Similarly I can have any number of functions, any number of functions. I will erase here first and foremost, so I don't want. Now you understand, different types of entities will be there. Each entity is having different types of attributes, and each entity attributes is used to access some task, is used to accept the details, display the details, and it is also used to write the content, means calculating something. Okay, one second, I have this. Okay, function 5. Like this I have any number of functions. You can call these particular, so this is known as data. So data will be separated by the functions. These all are functions related to what? This particular data. That may be faculty details, or that may be student details, or that may be department details. This is a global data. This is global data, that means global variables, because these variables can be accepted in any of these particular functions. That is the main reason why we keep every variable as a global variable whenever we are developing projects in C language. Every function is used to interact with another function. We know that, for example, function 5 is used to interact with function 1 and function 3. Function 3 is used to interact with function 2 and function 4. Function 1 is used to interact with function 1 and function 2, like this. So it gives the complexity of application. It gives the complexity of application, and these all functions can access the data of this. Any function, for example, faculty related functions can access the details of student data. Similarly, student related function is used to access the data of faculty. So that's why we have the concept of object oriented programming approach. So the same college management system we will develop using object oriented programming approach. It is very much highly efficient, reliability, and it has adaptability. So many features will be happen because of, let me understand to you. So I will erase this entire content once again. I think you understand what happened in procedure oriented programming approach. Now we are going to understand with object oriented programming approach. So same college management system, if I want to develop in Java, for example, Java is an object oriented programming approach. So in Java, what is the main feature of object oriented programming approach? That is encapsulation. I will tell you very great detail what is encapsulation, how to do the programs under encapsulation in Java. Encapsulation. What is encapsulation? I will tell you in detail. So encapsulation is nothing but wrapping up of data and functions into a single unit. So I will tell you very great detail whenever I am going to explain this particular concept. It is the one of the important feature of object oriented programming approaches. That means mainly it gives the controlling of data. This feature is giving the controlling of data. Controlling of data. How? In a class, every program or every application consisting of set of classes, because in object oriented programming approaches we will write every program under classes. For example, I have a student class will be there. Student is the class. Student class is there. Faculty class is there. Another faculty class is there. Previously we understood each and every entity like student, faculty, every particular entity is accessing the global data, but here we have some access specifiers like private, public, protected, because there was lots of data safety will be there. For example, here we have student ID is an attribute, student name is an attribute. Similarly, we have age, etc. So many attributes will be there. Student is the class, it consisting of variables as well as functions. For example, accept student details is the function name. Accept student details is the function name. It lies in the student only. That means this function can only access this particular data. There is no relation of faculty because it is individual class. Student class only access the details of student only, and it is having own functions like accept student details, display student details, etc. Similarly, faculty is the different class. It is also consisting of faculty ID, faculty name, faculty experience, etc. This is also having some functions like accept faculty details, display faculty details. These particular functions can only accept the details of faculty. So that is gives the controlling of data. That controlling of data is not there in C language. That's why we come for Java, like Java or Python or .NET. In .NET we have C#. Like we have different languages are there which gives support of object oriented programming approaches. Okay, so please understand. So we are writing the programs, every program in classes and objects, because whenever I create an object for faculty, using this particular object only I can call the data if it is public in the outside. Okay, we will detailedly learn whenever we are going to understand the concept. Similarly, student functions is only accept the details by creating an object of yes, like this student. Using the object we can call the public functions or public data in the outside of the program. Okay, so I think because you people already know regarding the concept of Java, that's why I explained like this. Basically it will be understood whenever we start the programming. Okay students, so this why, okay, there is two programming approaches, because so many people having a doubt why should we move for object oriented programming approaches. there is already having the procedure oriented programming approach. So in procedure oriented programming approach, we have the modules. So that is module oriented programming approach or procedure oriented programming approach. We divided in a functions. Every function is using the global data. So that leads to incompatibility of data, inflexibility of operations. So that's why we come for object oriented programming approach. In object oriented programming approach, we have different functions. Every particular function of a particular object is only accessible of that particular object data only, because you know that we have a private data only accessible by those functions of that particular class. Okay students, so let me clear here. Okay, so that is the main thing. So now we are going to understand the introduction to Java. Okay, the introduction to Java.